Okay, so today it is April 10. It's Monday, April 10, 2023, 9:52 in the morning. As good as it gets right now. It's like compared to the, how we are like fumigated like roaches every day. The damn chemtrails. I'm gonna show you a little bit. Hopefully I don't mess it up. Yeah, the selfie camera's messed up. That's why it was donated. Look at this. Beautiful day. Yeah, I've been thinking about the morning thing, and I'm thinking of how many things are still going on from the Victorian era. I consider myself like a 19th century kind of woman because my father, he was born from the last marriage of his father, my grandfather. Rest in peace. And so he was already like 80 or something. No, not 80, probably 70 something when he got married again. And, yeah, he was black, and yes, just like my father, he picked the palest of the palest. He could have gone out with a ghost, I guess. He tried to probably go out with a ghost. And then I guess he met my mother. And, similarities that there is, And then I forgot what I was saying that. That was the segue to, look at my dad. It's gone. I don't know. We'll come back. So I'm gonna put a segment again from the same documentary, and in this part, it's in my channel on Rumble, because I think I'm just gonna upload this to Rumble. It's such a shame they don't let you live stream on Rumble. Like, that would be like, I don't know, it'll save time. It will save time, There might come a time when I don't have access to a computer or anything, so I don't know. Anyway, so he's talking about the hippie movement, and the Church of Aleister Crowley. But what he's actually telling us, he's been saying the whole lecture, is that Crowley was not really in charge. Everything came from Switzerland. Everything came from Sicily. We already heard him disclose, the acronym. What it mean. I didn't know what it mean, mafia. But the A stand for Aryan, and that's why Europeans they stole it. You see how everything, if they got it, they stole it. Let's not, waste time, but that one, I think that was a big blow, because, there's still people think, oh, Aryan, they think like, pale, limp, yellow hair, all those things. But it got nothing to do with this. Talk about the lineage in Kemet. In Kemet, so they call it Egypt. And everything they stole from Kemet. They, you know, it's all weaponized. You know. We understood, everybody in the whole planet understood. We lived in the third dimension, in this planet. Yeah, they name it planet, not rounded. I don't know. And you know, they knew it's all about balance. It's about balance, you know. I mean, you know, the alkalinity, certain alkalinity required to avoid, you know, plagues and stuff. I mean, even in our house, if we don't do it in our house, and you know, roaches take over, mice, you know, all kinds of uninvited guests take over. So let's not, you know, be like, oh my God, this is demonic. I mean, like, and then accusing Heru, whom they called Horus, of being the devil. I mean, I'm supposed to take their word. I mean, after they've been lying us for 500 years, and now like, okay, they say something. Supposedly Rose, I mean, the same one that went cuckoo. She spoke with Heru. There's another helicopter. See, I barely hear it. I can barely hear it, but I heard the plane. Yeah, I've seen that helicopter. Give him the finger. I don't know how much it cost us, taxpayers, to get this helicopter that is quiet. It's a damn quiet helicopter. You know, I don't want to be in their film. I know they have like 10,000 pixel cameras. I mean, I'm telling you, it's all about, you know, the Internet of Things, and we are considered things. You know, well, they call it the Internet of Bodies. It's just, I mean, if it don't freak you out, I mean, like, I don't know what would, you know. We are getting, you know, like cattle. You know, that we even got internet of our body got internet. You know, meaning, you know, like, well, I don't even understand the whole concept, but it sounds to me like we all gonna have a Wikipedia. Whether you're famous or no, we already have a Wikipedia of you. You see how we all volunteer to do Wikipedia? Now it's like, I feel like it's the same concept. Oh, it is so convenient, you know, like, yeah, it is very convenient, but now it's like, I'm curious. I would like to see my file. The Internet of my body, what they call it. Always, you know, the Honorable Malcolm X call it the language of liars. That's what I call it. So right on. Right on. And like and that's a big part of our problem, that we making deals in their language, in the devil's language. I'm like, and we expect to get something from these deals, from these treaties. Mind you, they have broken every single treaty they have signed. But we're still signing treaties because we know they're psychopaths. Everybody's scared. Everybody's scared. You know, Professor James Moll once said, you know, that one of the biggest accomplishments was that they made us scared of death. They made us scared of suffering. That's why, you know, they continue playing those movies and always talking about, you know, like horrific shit and stuff, and oh, I don't want it. Oh, I don't want it. And, you know, they always show it in the news. It's like horrific. Terrible. Well, horrific what we're going through right now. No, I'm not bleeding, but it don't mean that, I'm not being tortured. Anyway, here we go.
One thing. Frank Zappa's wife, Gail Zappa, maiden name Adelaide Slootman.
Yeah, that's the singers' fathers, and talking about their manager. These are all high, 3-letter agencies, and they was all into Crawleys or Italy's or Switzerland, whatever you want to call it. Italy was for the southern hemisphere, and Switzerland. He explained that already. For the northern.
Was together with Jim Morrison in kindergarten, and her father, from a long line of U.S. naval officers, was a nuclear weapons researcher in the U.S. Navy. It says in Wikipedia. So this is Gail Zappa. They're all one big family. All pharaohs. All their parents are high officers, admirals and generals. Adelaide Gail Slootman, early life, was born in Philadelphia to John Klein Slootman. Klein, it means small. German or Swiss German name. Who was a second-generation German-American and nuclear physicist with the United States Navy. And Laura Freitas was born in Honolulu of Portuguese ancestry. That's probably the mother. So he was a nuclear physicist in the United States Navy. I mean, that's not nothing, right? These are high officers and MK Ultra nuclear physicists, etc.
I mean, that's another thing. Like, nobody wonder, hey, how they just got out, of the caves in Northern Europe, and how they are everywhere in Africa. They would, I'm telling you, it's like a cancer. It's metastasizing, with this whiteness, white privilege, and life is so good. They're constantly luring people, with their Jennifer Anistons, all these decrepit old bitches from hell. But, oh my God, they're thin, they're gorgeous, they're whatever, they got everything. No, they don't. No, they don't. They're slaves.
So he was second generation. Okay. Yeah, this is in Laurel Canyon. Gail Zappa, so she died. Born Adelaide Gail Slootman in 1945. She grew up in California and reportedly attended kindergarten with Jim Morrison of the Doors. Her father, who was a nuclear weapons researcher, relocated the family to London during her teenage years. There she is. Or there she was. John Phillips from the Mamas and the Papas. His father was the U.S. Marine Captain Claude Andrew Phillips of the Military Intelligence Complex. So here you see the Mamas and the Papas, the music group from the hippie era, and here we'll see his father.
Meanwhile, they're saying, flower power, love, peace and love and whatever. All the while they are eating babies. Unbelievable.
Early life. Phillips was born August 30, 1935 in Parris Island, South Carolina. His father, Claude Andrew Phillips, was a retired United States Marine Corps officer, and who later went into the Military Intelligence Complex. And Phillips even went to the United States Naval Academy. Oh, look at this. It has 2 times the faces, the whole bundle together. It means where we go one, we go all. Let's keep it in America then, eh? And so how come all these musicians, music is about love, they were singing about love, how come they were in military academies, their fathers were generals and admirals, how come, eh? Well, this is Octagon. They use any means, to get money, to parasite on us, to influence us, to manipulate us, and to rule the world. In a way, they ruled the world with music in these years. It influenced billions of people, and still does. It's all in the names, like the doors, as I've shown you before, of the Templar Commandery, those doors, and the mamas and the papas, because all the 60s musicians, their mamas and papas, were in the military. Otherwise, it's quite a strange name for a pop band, especially in this era where they were rather advocating not to make any children at all, you know, and to have free sex, have fun all your life, and the worst thing that can happen to you is have a baby. So, you know, why the mamas and the papas? Well, because they were making children, only the rest of us didn't anymore. It's all a setup. John Phillips' wife, Susie Adams, and sister Rosie, so Rosie Phillips, the sister of John Phillips, they both worked in the Pentagon. And Susie Adams was a descendant of US President John Adams. Now, they're all one family. And they sing for us. Wow. Enough charming.
I mean, now you know. If anybody asks you, why was they called the mamas and the papas? You know, I mean, like, it's right there. It is right there. And they all, you know, I mean, yeah, he talked at one point, you know, that how Crowley, he was, you know, an instrument to bring Switzerland, you know, to cement. I mean, because it's already here. I already talked about J. Edgar Hoover and other, you know, Swiss cheese mother freakers.
Charming ladies in the Pentagon to offer FBI agent Thomas O'Loughlin a poisoned cup of coffee filled with cancer-provoking agents in it, with Frank Zappa's father, a chemical warfare specialist. Now, remember the Octagon members of this conspiracy all had their children living in Laurel Canyon. So they all knew each other, including the parents, who had set it all up in the first place, those mamas and papas, right? So apparently this is John Phillips, and this here is military connection. And after leaving Annapolis, so it's about John Phillips, this is John Phillips, yeah. After leaving Annapolis, John married Susie Adams, working for the Pentagon, and a descendant of a US president. Direct descendant of the founding father, John Adams. Susie's father, James Adams Jr., had been involved in what Susie described as cloak and dagger stuff with the Air Force in Vienna. Was that Vienna, Austria? Or what we like to call covert intelligence operations. Susie herself would later find employment at the Pentagon. And of course, her father found her a job, huh? Alongside John Phillips' older sister, Rosie, also got a job in the Pentagon. It's just one family. It's like working in a pizza restaurant. Hey, I've got a brother, you know, small brother, he can cut up the pizzas, or he cuts up the tomatoes, you know. But these guys, they cut up something else which is red. Who dutifully reported to work at the complex for nearly 30 years. So you see, you know, that the sister of John Adams, of the mamas and the papas, and these papas and mamas all working for the military-industrial complex, she worked 30 years for the Pentagon. And you believe it when they're singing about love? Go on, people. John's mother, Dean Phillips, also worked for most of her life for the federal government in some unspecified capacity. And John's older brother, Tommy, was a battle-scarred former US Marine who found work as a cop on the Alexandria Police Force, albeit one with a disciplinary record for exhibiting a violent streak when dealing with people of color. What a charming family, isn't it? Yeah, there's some more about naval station here. Well, they made nice music. I mean, otherwise they couldn't have sold it, the whole program. This is Mackenzie Phillips, probably his sister or his wife. These are this is the Pentagon girls, eh? Did Special Agent O'Loughlin find out something too much, like the Pentagon setting up the hippie movement, since he was TDY working at the Pentagon with a special assignment to investigate the connection between the drugs trade and the military-industrial complex? Now, you be a good boy, Mr. O'Loughlin, and drink up your coffee while it's still warm. You're in the Pentagon, Mr. O'Loughlin, so you don't have to worry. All the doors are closed and guarded. Saxa.
He was commissioned by, there you go again, the damn, by Kennedy for Special Forces, you know, the three-letter agency. So, yeah, he died. He was only like 52 years old. I say
meaning
coffee.
special assistant
Coffee.
for counterintelligence and special activities.
I don't want your cup of coffee.
When does a soldier become expendable? Well, if so, you just invite him for a cup of coffee, the so-called Judas cup. So this is Mama Cass Elliot, another singer of the Mamas and the Papas.
Are we gonna pretend they're not poisoning our cup of coffee too? GMO with pesticides. God only knows what else is in our coffee.
And the Papas. And she was born Ellen Naomi Cohen, just like the other Herb Cohen, CIA guy and manager of Frank Zappa. Across Mama Cass Elliot's home were murdered Abigail Folger and Wojtek Frykowski by the Manson family, is what they say. John spent time in Havana, so John Phillips of the Mamas and the Papas, in the era of the Cuban Missile Crisis. So there's a lot of peculiar coincidences in all this hippie era with fathers and mothers of the military industrial complex. Too many. It's all related to war, MK Ultra, blood. And Ellen Naomi Cohen was born in Baltimore, Maryland in 1941, the daughter of Bess May Levine and Philip Cohen. All four of the grandparents were Russian jaywalker immigrants. And
apologize for that one. I forgot I was.
She died very young.
Coughing on the camera. Oh my goodness. This is an
that night, Elliot, age 32,
earful.
died in her sleep at the London flat where she was staying. A heart failure. The death was the autopsy. The forensic pathologist said it was a heart failure. Typical CIA stuff.
They had myocarditis back then too.
And 4 years later, the Who's drummer Keith Moon died in the same room.
And
he was also 32.
Would not be surprised.
So many unbelievable coincidences. And every time there's a connection with the army. And death and murder. Just look at this hippie symbol.
Yeah, it sound about white. Yeah, he's talking about the inverted cross. I don't know if you can see it. The sun hitting. Oh, you can see it. Okay, let's listen what he's gonna say with the inverted cross. You think that's satanic? Let's play dumb.
Popping up all over. All of a sudden, and seemingly out of nowhere.
Useful idiots. You know, propagating the ritual. You know, we help them with the rituals. So this is why, you know. Yeah, okay. This is why they single-handedly went and stole the term woke and made it about, you know, gay shit. No. I mean, if you consider yourself to be a good white, there's no such thing, but okay, you gotta push back on that one, because that term, what it means, that you are conscious of the race war we are living in. There's the damn helicopter again. That's what it meant. That's what it meant. And you know, all this stuff, I mean, all these rituals and everything, ultimately they are done every day, you know, to assure not only the survival of the white race, which, I mean, is anything but a race, is the lack thereof. White is not a color, you know. But anyway, keep preaching that. So he's gonna explain to you about you know, how they went about it, because it was like a trance, you know. I mean, like, I was born in 1965, and in the 70s, I mean, it was like, yeah, it was magical, but what kind of magic? I mean, like, everything was, you know, hyper sexual, you know, it was crazy, the 70s. And you wonder how they did it. Okay, yeah, they had obviously movies and stuff, but I mean, still, you know, they have attempted so many things and they don't take off. So how come, you know, this hippie movement, you know, that, you know, like, hey, you know, just party like it's 1999, don't worry about nothing.
But heavily boosted by Pharaoh's media. This so-called peace symbol does not stand for peace at all, but it means square and compass. We Freemasons have it all under control. The circle represents the compass and
Wait a second. This is what they do also. I don't think you can see it in Madison Avenue. Madison Avenue is always wondering, you know, how can they come up with you know, inserting their satanic shit without people knowing. Oh, there's another one on Walt Disney. You can look it up on Rumble. Put Walt Disney. There's several documentaries. They just came out.
And concept of 3. Because with a compass one makes a circle. And inside the circle is a 90-degree square and concept of 4.
I can take some
We
fun.
are the concept of 4 and trapped by them inside the concept of 3. The square is inside the circle. And the square is divided into 2 parts for male and female in this hippie era of sexual equality revolution. So here, this is exactly 90 degrees. So when you see 90 degrees and you say, well, you know enough, no? And there's a circle for the compass. So we are the concept of 4, the square, and we're trapped in the circle. Male and female, all together, and they're equal. The parts are equal for male and female. Stephen Stills of Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young was raised at US military bases in Central America. And he had a song called Bluebird, as in the MK Ultra program, Bluebird. It says mind control programs by the CIA, and they started with Project Bluebird in 1951. There we are again, 1951. They were very busy, and they still are, people. There he is, Stephen Stills, the famous musician. Looks a bit like Alex Jones. And here is song Bluebird, number 7.
Like
Another one of their coincidences.
Here
Here in Wikipedia, Stephen Stills. And oh, he's got a French wife, Véronique Sanson. He's a so-called political activist, don't forget it. In the early years, Stills was born in Dallas, and he was raised in a military family, it says. He moved around as a child and developed an interest. He was also influenced by Latin music, and spending his youth in Costa Rica,
Latin music.
Panama Canal Zone, and he attended the Admiral Farragut Academy. What was that? Military Academy. Another one. David Crosby's father was Major Floyd Delafield Crosby of the Military Intelligence and Annapolis Naval Academy graduates. The Crosby family produced U.S. senators, congressmen, governors, mayors, judges, Civil War generals, Declaration of Independence signers, and if America had royalty, he would be a duke or a prince. And well, as I've proven you now, America is still being ruled by the nobility. So here you can see the singer, very famous, David Crosby, he's a bit older. And
yeah, I mean, like, people like, oh, you know, this is anti-war, it's anti-war movement, but everybody leading the movement was the son of, you know, generals, you know, all kinds of, you know, warmongers. You know, like, I always, like, I remember, like, oh my God, you know, Crosby, Stills, and Nash. And it was like, everybody like, oh yeah, it's all about, you know, smoke some pot and avoid getting into that frequency of the war. Because, you know, Europeans, they get so upset when I call them out as what they are, you know, psychopaths. You know, and yes, if your pineal gland is not healthy, it's supposed to be juicy. this is what we learned in Vietnam, because it only took Vietnam. I think it was Vietnam. Yeah, it took that award to, you know, because everybody had to get a autopsy. Is that how you say autopsy or something like that? And when it came to our African American brothers, it was like they went like, "What is this? What is this?" You know, and they call out a meeting. They summon all the big heads. It's like they didn't even know what a pineal gland was. They didn't even know. So, you know, I mean, we have to another one. Santa madre, puta madre. That shit is nicked in front of me by accident. It's the quiet one. It's a quiet motherfreaker. But they get me everywhere. I go to the beach and it's like every 20 minutes, 15 minutes, like I cover my face and I come back and, you know, try flying like far away, you know, almost on top of the ocean. Oh, you can see me like this. Yeah, if I keep my hand over here, you can see me. Once again, you know, I fucked up my foundation. I don't know, trying to, because I get them on clearance, TJ Maxx, and then I mix them up, but it was like, I don't know, it got too yellow. I'm a high yellow princess. Anyway, where was I? Some bitch was just staring at me. Hate that. Even the evil eye. So I have to always be. Oh, anyway. Yeah, I turn around and this bitch is like staring at me. Freaking Neanderthal bitch. And you feel the eye, you know? Oh my god. So anyway, let's continue because it's gone.
His father was a relative of the Van Rensselaer family and descended, and his mother, granddaughter of Bishop of Pittsburgh, Cortland Whitehead, descended from the prominent Van Cortland family. And here, if you look at the Rensselaer family, you see a coat of arms, you know, with three crowns, three octagon stars. There's a Swiss cross, or a Maltese cross, and there are three Templar V's. And three is, of course, the concept of three, which is them. And in the sort of castle thing, like here, there's the concept of four on top and the concept of three below.
Coat of arms.
So if you look at it in white, it's the concept of three on top, which is them, and the concept of four below. But if you look at it in red, it's the other way around, altogether making 7. And it says here, his father was the...
That's what they say, the Queen's number is 7, and Alistair... What's that? Let's say Alistair Cooper again. Alistair Crowley, same shit. Signed 007. 007. That's where they came, the movies, the franchise. 007, you know, like the men of mystery, the men of, you know, whatever. You know, the world is my oyster. That's what they say. I'm telling you, psychopaths. Psychopaths. Can we call a damn spade a spade?
Was a filmmaker, Floyd Crosby, here. So he was also in the propaganda business, and to change our heads. So here's his father, Floyd Delafield Crosby, a major, ASC, filmmakers. And he was the father of the musician David Crosby. There you go. And the Rensselaer family, the nobility. This is about his career. He did a lot of movies, Hollywood movies. So he's definitely part of the social engineering. I mean, they changed humanity, all these Hollywood films. Right? And he was in the U.S. Army Air Corps, making videos and flight training films in World War II. And this is, of course, quite near to the. This is social engineering. This is also used for intelligence. You know, video making and filming enemy positions and all that. Major. Again, the military-industrial complex. And the hippie movement and the hippie music of the 60s, it was a very big industry. And so it's part of the military-industrial complex. The musician Jackson Browne was born in a military hospital in Heidelberg, Germany. And his father was in the OSS and precursor of the CIA. So here's the famous musician. All pictures showing them a little bit older. And here you can see. So Browne was born in 1948 in Heidelberg, Germany. So if there's an American, you know, like getting born in Germany, you know there's this military family. And his father, Clyde Jack Browne, an American serviceman, was stationed for his job assignment with the Stars and Stripes newspaper. So that's, of course, it's propaganda, and it's very near. It would be a good camouflage for an agent, you know, to work at the Stars and Stripes. And of course, it's difficult to find the proof of that he was in the OSS. And his sister, Birdie Browne, was born in Nuremberg. And guess who also came from Nuremberg? Another famous American, also of the entertainment industry, where they do the social engineering on the minds of our children. From another military family. Oh look, there she is, Sandra Bullock. They're all from the military-industrial complex in the entertainment industry, whether it be music or Hollywood films. And
I always wonder, because she's ugly as, well, they all are, but she was like always like, it's like, what the hell? Like they say, you know, boogery bullocks. Now you know where it come from.
And early life. Yeah, she was born in 1964, and her father was in charge of the Army's military postal service in Europe.
Unbelievable.
Was stationed in Nuremberg. Yeah, just as where the sister of Jackson Browne, where she was born. Probably at the same time.
We must have like an eye.
When he met her mother, her parents married in Germany. Bullock's maternal grandfather was a German rocket scientist from Nuremberg. Talking about the paperclip project Paperclip. The family returned to Arlington, where her father worked with the Army Material Command. All key positions, you know, Army Material Command is a key position. The Army's military postal service is. And you all remember where the World Postal Service are in Bern, Switzerland. I made a video about it in my channel, Hatzefatz. Before becoming a contractor for the Pentagon.
Wow.
So he became a contractor for the Pentagon. And for those who don't know what a contractor is, a contractor has made a contract, you know, for a certain period. So he's not really working for the Pentagon. But, you know, if he gets killed somewhere in the world, like there were a lot of contractors in former special forces, like in Iraq and Afghanistan, they got 10 times higher wages than a normal soldier. But they are expendable, you know, and it doesn't make any political scandals in the newspapers like there's an American soldier killed, because there are no American soldiers. They are a contractor. The Russians, they use them as well in the genocide almost on the Chechen people. In Russian they call them kontraktniki. They were the worst.
Why don't you say the
Russians,
word?
even killers and all that, they took them out of prison so they could go and continue to kill children and women in Chechnya. That was Mr. Putin behind this. He's a very dangerous man, Mr. Putin. He's not as nice, you know, as he looks like, with, you know, telling all his jokes and all that. He's behind killing many children and women in Chechnya using the kontraktniki. So he was a contractor, it says, contractor for the Pentagon. So it means he was a Pentagon assassin. I mean, that's it.
I think it's just like, of course, I never been to the Soviet Union, but I know they're struggling with their numbers, with their population. I have seen how President Putin, you know, he don't actually want, you know, they want to open their borders to fill up the whole country because they don't have enough labor, they don't have enough things, so they always like, you know, just because we do it over here in the West, we assume that, you know. I'm not saying, you know, at the end of the day he's a cracker. At the end of the day, I would not be surprised, but as to, you know, shoot himself in one leg by depopulating, you know, the country, which is like the size of, I mean, just Siberia alone. People, they don't even realize how huge that is. And at one point, Siberia was almost overpopulated. And now they just make you think like, oh, you know, that's where they send the dissidents, to Siberia. That's why, you know, like, no, I don't buy that for 1 second. You know, because, I mean, sooner or later, come on. They've been, especially the last 77 years, 78 years, you know, we in the West, we've been looking at President Putin with a magnifying glass. You don't think they could already, like, you know, just expose him or that? But they don't have the receipts. Yeah, they say, you know, oh, you know, he killed, you know, all these millions. Lenin and everybody killed, like, you know, and they don't say, you know, it was that we was even influential to produce the famine over there, the starvation, you know, several cities, I don't know how many cities was it, but there was what do you say that word? I think it was one. It was like Belgrade, or one is like. I mean, you can see there's documentaries now. How the Germans, you know, they went and nothing is coming in. Not even water. The same thing they did to us in Tenochtitlan 500 years ago. They poison our water, like shit that we never even thought about it. We never even thought there was going to be, you know, something so evil as to fight like that. You know, that shit did not exist in the Anahuac. It's called the Anahuac. It's not America.
Okay, that's it. A contractor is an assassin. So again, Sandra Bullock, also military industrial complex. There's a little Nuremberg. She lived here for 12 years. Bullock was raised in Nuremberg and grew up speaking German. She speaks perfect German. And she was in the Steiner school, the Waldorf school, just as my children were. Jerry Beckley of the band America. His father was the commander of the United States Air Force Base, Ruislip, near London in England, where he met the other band members, Dan Peake and Dewey Burnell, who were, of course, also sons of career Air Force officers. Oh, no wonder they called the band America. Huh? It's all propaganda. Look, already in these days they're doing the devil's horns. See? Already back then. There he is, Jerry Beckley, born in 1952, and a founding member of the band America. There they are. And
interesting, I never heard of that.
An American father and an English mother. And in 1967, Beckley's father became the commander of the United States Air Force Base at West Ruislip. So that's a high grade, yeah? At least you'll be a colonel, usually a colonel to be the commander of a base. So they're all their fathers, all high officers, admirals, generals, CIA, OSS, Army Intelligence, even the commander of a United States Air Force Base. So where this guy grew up, and where of course he met the other members of the group. And so this is all part of the
military helicopters.
Michael Nesmith of the Monkees inherited the family fortune of $25 million, and he served in the U.S. Air Force.
Go away.
So that's him.
But now he's on top of me.
Hey, Monkees.
He got pissed because I gave him the bird.
So he says he enlisted in the U.S. Air Force. A complete basic training at Lackland Air Force Base in San Antonio. Was trained as an aircraft mechanic at Shepherd Air Force Base in Wichita Falls.
The white boys.
Was permanently stationed at the Sherman Air Force Base near Burns Flat in Oklahoma. The band name The Monkees. Remember what I told you about Planet of the Apes in my brachycephalic craniometry film. Here's the title, and this is the channel. Why the name The Monkees? It's a bit strange, isn't it? Well, as a group or a person, you don't want to be referred to as being a monkey, do you know? So, well, you see that four of them, for the concept of four, he's holding up 3 fingers, him as well. So it does say the concept of 3 and the concept of 4, and it says square and compass. Graham Parsons of the Flying Burrito Brothers, his father was Air Force Major Cecil Ingram, nicknamed Coon Dog. Here he is, Graham Parsons, the musicians, They were all the heroes of the 60s and the 70s. Yeah, Flying Burrito Brothers. And yeah, Graham's father, Ingram Connor II, was a famous World War II flying ace decorated with the Air Medal, who was present at the 1941 attack on Pearl Harbor. Yeah, his name was Coon Dog. The name of the band is a reference to the Templar fraternity here, flying for the Air Force, like the Flying Brothers or the Flying Fraternity. So, in fact, sing about love and peace, and simultaneously murder millions all over the world. They even call it Vietnam War music, sound of a murderous nation. Jimi Hendrix was a paratrooper of the 101st US Airborne. He died at 27, so he belongs to the club of some 27. And he would have probably lived if he would have stayed in the regular army as a regular soldier, instead of becoming a music soldier for them. There he is. And so this is Wikipedia, and here it says military service. He was in the 101st Airborne Division at Fort Campbell. Jimi Hendrix and Jim Morrison were both great fans of Aleister Crowley, the English Satanist, who had a temple in Sicily.
Really?
Alan Wilson of Canned Heat
Who
died at 27, together with the others of the club of 27, and all of them related to Laurel Canyon, the Pentagon setup. So here you can see him, Alan Wilson of the band Canned Heat. There they are, playing. And here it says he died at 27. Why did they all die at 27? And there is a reason for that, which I will explain to you. Well, because the 27th degree in Scottish Rite Freemasonry is being symbolized by a pentagram, the thing Satanists use. The 27th degree's name is the Night of the Sun. Therefore, 60s songs like The House of the Rising Sun. And it's here where all the higher degrees start, which all have Templar symbols, starting with the 28th Knight Commander of the Temple. It is therefore here one can see that Freemasonry comes out of the Knights Templars, who still rule over Freemasonry, which is, in fact, still a military order. Therefore, all the death at 27, because the 27th degree, where the military degrees start, stands for the Pentagon, or a pentagram, who are behind the 60s hippie era of sex, drugs, and rock and roll. Circle closed. We can all see this thing is pentagonal. 5, penta, it means 5 in Greek, so there are 5 corners, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sides. And this is where the whole hippie era music era where it came from. And that's why you almost see the hippie symbol here, except these two here don't belong to it, but this here, it's exactly the hippie symbol here. You know, this is a square here, and instead of with these ones here, there's a circle. Well, this is where they took it from, right, the hippie symbol. Because it says square, and here's a compass. You know, where they walk around just like in Mecca or whatever, you know. You see them almost, you see the persons walking around here. And this looks like a black cube almost. You know, so there are too many references, you know, where it all comes from. And I can guarantee you that this is it. You know, pentagonal, just like it's 27th degree in Freemasonry. And here you can see, if you take these, that and that away, you see the hippie symbol. Not a coincidence, people. They always leave a sign or a symbol or a reference somewhere. And they just, you know, it's too strong for them, you know. They just have to do it. It's compulsory. It's compulsive. You know. So this is what we saw inside the Pentagon. I mean, this symbol is integrated inside the court of the Pentagon. Only there's one more lane here, one more here, and this is pentagonal. There is a circle inside, but this is definitely in there. And why does it always have to be a Volkswagen? No, it's a Nazi car developed by the Nazis. It means das Volk, ein Wagen für das Volk. It's a car for the people. Why always Volkswagen? Well, paperclip, people. The Nazis won the war, and they took over the Pentagon. The Swiss Octagon rules over Pentagon. I made a film about it with this title, a long film. But YouTube took it off. It was on my channel, Curie. Too bad. So here once more. This is the Pentagon in the United States. So it's the arrows going to number 27, the Night of the Sun, the House of the Rising Sun. So from here on, it's rising here, and all Templar symbols. This is the House of the Rising Sun, number 27. And this is interesting. Here it says Noahide of Prussian Knight. You remember the brachycephalic skull form of the Prussians, and this is because of the Teutonic Knights. Because the Teutonic Knights area, it became military industrial complex.
Oh, shit, I touched it. Oh no. Oh gosh. I think I touched it. Hold on.
really fit together, does it now? Well, that's because Frank Zappa's father was a chemical warfare specialist in the CIA's MK Ultra brainwashing program. So, you know, they feel so sure of themselves, and also because humanity is really so stupid. You know, they can just rub it into our eyes, rub it into our faces. They can say whatever they want. People will not wake up. Yeah, this is Wikipedia on Frank Zappa, which is an Italian, Sicilian name. So, yeah. Childhood. Zappa was born on December 21st. Winter solstice. Magic. 1940 in Baltimore, Maryland. His mother, Rose Marie, born Collymore, was of Italian, Neapolitan and Sicilian and French ancestry. His father, whose name was anglicized to Francis Vincent Zappa, was an immigrant from Partinico, Sicily, with Greek and Arab ancestry. Oh, you can see that, right? Frank, the eldest of 4 children, was raised in an Italian-American household where Italian was often spoken by his grandparents. The family moved often because his father, a chemist and mathematician, worked in the defense industry. After a time in Florida in the 1940s, the family returned to Maryland, where Zappa's father worked at the Edgewood Arsenal Chemical Warfare. Well, there we go, huh? Chemical warfare. He was probably also in it, you know, doing the attack on San Francisco and in France and Korea. And so the Edgewood Arsenal Chemical Warfare Facility of the Aberdeen Proving Ground, run by the US Army. It's the same. Due to their home's proximity to the arsenal, which stored mustard gas, gas masks were kept in the home in case of an accident. So you say he's
just a regular home, you know. Oh my God. And now I start to understand, you know, how, you know, growing up, I saw those masks and they say, oh, that was art, that was it. And then fast forward to the 90s, you got the club kids, you know, also sometimes they will have those masks on, and always they actually, Michael Alec used to have the blood ball, and everybody had to go with, you know, fake blood, whatever, you know. I remember one time he gave everybody drinks, but he had hepatitis, so he made sure everything got hepatitis. And you know, Amanda Lepore, she was like so upset, you know, and thought it was such a funny joke, you know. And he's still around. There's actually in Rumble, if you put his name and you find, you know, they found this kid, it looked like him, and they put these eyelashes like this, and then they pointed out that they have a poster with the name of the, like RAPE drug, and in one of the videos the kids say, you know, oh, it's already sleepy, getting ready to go to sleep, you know. I mean, like, but even on television, I've spoken about Savage, you know, the America's Funniest Videos. In Comedy Central, he talked about the Olsen twins. He used to say the joke that they went into a bar and they order an ass hurt. They order an ass hurt, and they say, what is that? It's like, oh, I don't know, but you know, they give us that shit, and we wake up, you know, our ass hurt. I mean, like, for real. I mean, this is Comedy Central. This was Comedy Central. Well, I haven't watched television in more than 10 years, but it's right there. It's just like, I mean, that's the real wokeness, not the gay shit they made it up to be, you know?
Well, you say his father is Sicilian, so here we're back to the mafia and CIA connection.
Zappas.
It's everywhere, you know.
Zappa.
And they don't talk,
Zappe.
of course, about the Alps and the Octagon. So here you can see Frank Zappa's father from Partinico, Sicily. Here's a picture. No, yes, it does.
I think I rewinded.
And so here you can see someone born in the land of the mafia and where most Templar commanderies are in the world, and who started to work for the CIA and the Octagon. This is not a coincidence, no. Frank Zappa's manager, Herb Cohen, was an ex-US Marine, and he was in Africa's Congo working for the CIA, somehow involved in the killing of the Congo's leftist Prime Minister, Patrice Lumumba. Here you can see Cohen was born in New York after a period in the army, and he was the manager of Frank Zappa and the rest of them here. So he was not only a negotiator for the famous rock stars of the military-industrial complex, but here, Herb Cohen, he was also a negotiator for the Department of State, the FBI, the CIA, the US Department of Justice. Patrice Lumumba, and
a perfect cover
he was
up.
killed in 1961.
You know, we're all about music,
That's a good
love,
face,
and peace.
The Octagon, they make sure they murder all the good people.
No shit. I'm gonna see if I can fast forward it to where it was. I don't know.
Especially presidents and John F. Kennedy and everything. Yeah. So the 2001 report by the Belgian Commission describes, this is about the United States involvement. It describes previous US and Belgian plots to kill Lumumba. Among them was a Central Intelligence Agency sponsored attempt to poison him. Right? You remember Tom O'Loughlin? They poisoned people. So this is a fact that they poisoned people, even their own people. And the US President Dwight Eisenhower, a Swiss Eisenhower, authorized the assassination of Lumumba in 1960. However, the plot to poison him was abandoned. The CIA chemist Sidney Gottlieb, he says God loves him. It means God and love. What a name for a guy using poisons for the CIA. A key person in the plan devised a poison resembling a toothpaste. And in September 1960, Gottlieb brought a vial of the poison to the Congo, probably with the help of this negotiator Herb Cohen, negotiating for the rock groups and for the CIA, with plans to place it on Lumumba's toothbrush. The plot was abandoned, allegedly because Larry Devlin, CIA station chief for the Congo, refused permission. Well, and
How
so
many
on.
times?
The CIA's.
How many times they attempted until they did it? I mean, even Fidel Castro, I think he used to count them. He used to count them, and one time he said it was like 980 something assassination attempts, just like in the name of democracy. You know, they cannot stand manhood. If there's something they cannot stand virility and manhood. That's why, you know, that was their next step. You know, to make feminist men useless pieces of shit.
They are deep in it. In 1975, the Church Committee, or what's that? We're also in it. Went on record with the finding that CIA Chief Alan Dulles had ordered Lumumba's assassination as an urgent and prime objective. The committee later found that while the CIA had sponsored to kill Lumumba, it was not directly involved in the murder. Oh, really? In 2013, see, it's still going on. You know, it happened in 1961. They're still not the end of it. Because they hide it. All these government criminals, CIA and the Octagon, Swaziland, they hide things, you know. The US State Department admitted that President Eisenhower authorized the murder of Lumumba. However, documents released in 2017, I mean, this is 5 years ago, huh? Revealed that an American role in Lumumba's murder was only under consideration by the CIA. CIA Chief Alan Dulles had allocated $100,000, which was a lot more in those days, to accomplish the act. Well, they're deeply involved in it. It's the Octagon, they use everything, the mafia.
That's how much the life of a president is worth, a dignitary. Unbelievable. And they keep record and then they disclose it, so we read it, and that's how they get, again, the quiet damn helicopter. Just popped out of the damn buildings. You get the bird. You're very smart. Sit on this shit, bitch. I'm like, leave me alone. Another one? Oh, another one. Oh, this is a white one. There's a white helicopter. Then there's a really shiny red one. More red than this shit. I don't know if that's fire department. I don't know. Who's this now? I mean, it had a little bit black on the tip, but I've never seen a white helicopter.
The hippie movement, it's all one thing. Frank Zappa's wife, Gail Zappa, maiden name Adelaide Slootman,
Yeah,
was together with...
I already did fast forward it. I'm gonna go back on cue.
Yeah. So it looks like it, you know, either by their parents or in a naval academy or being in the army, they get discovered as musicians. So they get drafted by the Pentagon to become music soldiers. I guess that's what happened. So his father Jack was drafted in the army in World War II, where he treated soldiers, the Battle of the Bulge. But okay, I mean, many more people had to go into the war. But this guy went freely to the Staunton Military Academy, where of course they have a good look at their students, how they can use them, and if they have music in this era when they had musical abilities or talents. It opened all the way by the Pentagon, but they made him die at 27. Pentagon, the 27 Pentagon. There were additionally to this all many curious deaths around Laurel Canyon, which of course I can't tell you all, but quite a lot apparently. A lot of sacrifices going on. The father of actor Peter Fonda was a decorated US Naval Intelligence officer during World War II. And when Peter was 10, his mother, Frances Ford Seymour, was found dead with a sliced throat. Then, 8 months later, Father Frank married again to Susan Blanchard for just a year to dump her for the Italian Countess Abdera Franchetti, a consultant
Peter Pumpkin Eater
of Italian dictator Mussolini, called Il Duce, meaning the Duke. Well, that goes well together with the Countess Abdera
fast forward
Franchetti.
too much.
So
yeah, it's unbelievable. The Fondas.
Here it says Henry Fonda and his wife Frances Ford Seymour. They say their mother committed suicide. They don't say about the sliced throat. I don't think a woman would commit suicide with by slicing her throat. And they found her. Nobody knows that it was a suicide. Okay, that's the internet. Now here's his father. He made videos or films like Jezebel.
Oh, I stopped it. This is so sensitive, the screen. I'm not going to touch it no more.
Well, you need a certain knowledge, to make a film, a Hollywood film called Jezebel. Because Jezebel is a demon. It's called the sex demon. Like this guy here, marrying one woman after the other, going for the countess, and his wives being found with a sliced throat. All these things, Jezebel.
That's Henry Fonda. Shit, and they're like, they got museums, they got tributes, they got like Dynasty. Oh my god, they're like, they work so hard making the great movies, blah blah blah. That's how I grew up. They had the night of 100 stars. And there I was, stupid bitch me. I was like, oh yes, oh my god, I'm blinded by the stars. They're all covered in shit and shame and deception, theft, plundering, parasites.
Jezebel actually does. And you can see where he was in the United States Navy. Right here. He was later commissioned as a lieutenant junior grade in air combat intelligence. So you see he was in the naval intelligence. After being discharged from active duty due to an overage in rank, Fonda was transferred to the Naval Reserve, serving another 3 years. Another one, they're all in the naval intelligence, being admirals, generals. It's very suspicious. So this is still Wikipedia of Henry Fonda here. the father of Peter Fonda. And later in 1950, Fonda married Susan Blanchard, his mistress. She was 21 years old. And then she dumped her, which is in here as well. And in 1957, Fonda married the Italian Baroness Abdera Franchetti, or Franchetti, I don't know how to say this. There. Abdera Franchetti, born July 8, 1931, is an Italian baroness descendant from an old Jaywalker family of Venice, which intermarried with the Rothschild family and who eventually converted to Roman Catholicism. She's most famous for being the fourth wife of American actor Henry Fonda. So, you see, there's Jaywalker nobility. You know? I mean, all peoples have nobility, and they're all pharaohs. And she was apparently a consultant of the Italian dictator Mussolini. And remember how the Swiss made Mussolini, who lived 2 years in Swaziland before the war, where the Swiss taught him and making all the contacts there, in the motherland of it all. So there's a picture of him, Mussolini, and here he emigrated to Switzerland. 1902, Mussolini, he emigrated to Swaziland, and he was in Fribourg, Bern. He was a stonemason. I guess he was also another sort of a mason. Okay? He even met Vladimir Lenin, look at that. He was also in Switzerland for, I think, for 20 years at least. They all were. And well, you can read it yourself. This is the base of it all. Right? They own the Pentagon.
I mean, yeah, they all were there, but there's people that left, actually. There's people like, come on. There's another, I question that too, you know, because I feel like when I hear people, they're just like, oh, there's nobody. There's nobody. When there has been people who give them the middle finger. And there's no talk of them. There is actually suppression. And yeah, I mean, like, shit. I told you, I practically, I mean, I never hang out with Michael Alec. Never, but come on, I used to go to some of the parties that, you know, the devil was there, you know. You know, in December, they used to have these parties with, I was so stupid, you know, and they put the trees upside down with the lights and everything, but upside down, you know, all over the bar. I was like, you know, I thought it's like, whoa. It's art. It's art. Shut up. Shut up. You don't know shit. Okay, so I don't know shit.
The father of actor Dennis Hopper was in the OSS, the Office of Strategic Services, in Burma, China, and India during World War II. So here's Wikipedia, Dennis Hopper. There he is, Mr. Hopper. And this is about his father here. And his James Millett Hopper was his father, and his father was a post office manager, having previously served in the Office of Strategic Services, the precursor to the Central Intelligence Agency in World War II, in China and in Burma. So, and it's quite possible that after the war he was still working for the CIA. Sharon Tate here, the wife of the Polish jaywalker pedophile Roman Polanski, got murdered by the Manson family, and her father was Lieutenant Colonel Paul Tate of the US Army Intelligence. So here's Sharon Tate, Shah On. Shah, it means the king, and
we
On,
have
it means
Marilyn Manson.
There she is.
You know, tribute, you know, honoring.
There she was.
That other.
And here it says, Sharon Tate was born on January 24th, 1943, Texas, the eldest of 3 daughters to Colonel Paul James Tate, the United States Army officer, and his wife Doris Gwendolyn, born Willett. The family are of English, Scottish, Swiss French, and Swiss German descent. Well, maybe that's why Polanski, the pedophile, is hiding in Swaziland. I went filming, when I rang at the door. It's in my channel, Gatsenfrats. You can look it up. And yeah, that's probably why he's hiding there. He's a convicted pedophile, by the way. Convicted and all. Paul Tate,
I
he's
just
82 now.
look, that's it.
Or there was at least in 2005, a former Army intelligence officer who went undercover seeking clues to the murder of daughter Sharon Tate by the followers of Charles Manson, died of congestive heart failure Wednesday at a convalescent home in Coupeville, Washington. Sharon Tate was among 5 people killed at her Benedict Canyon estate, well, we all know, and she was married to director Roman Polanski. So,
Oops. And now they have petitions. They have all the seed, you know, but we have to forgive Roman. I mean, the name says it all, you know. Shit is so Roman. You know, I mean, like, I was in high school already, I think, high school or grade school, you know. He was parading his latest muse. I think she was 15 years old. Natasha Kinski. You see, I remember all that shit. Why cannot I remember nothing from science or shit? I don't know. And I remember this bullshit. I remember his mistress name, Natasha Kinski, and she had a naked, like double page spread on the side with a fat python snake running and kissing her. I was like, art, it's art. Shut up, you stupid peasant. You don't know art. You're like, oh Lord, you know, they had some really good laughs. I mean, I'm telling you, the crackers, they sometimes probably, they even shit in their pants from laughter. Seeing us so stupid right in our faces.
So he was a former Army intelligence officer, Paul Tate, the father of Sharon Tate. Again, another one.
Wow.
The papas and the mamas.
And she
Singer
still got
Emmylou
spared.
Harris, her father, was a U.S.
spared.
Marine Corps officer living now.
It reminds me like Poupée, you know, Aleister Crowley's daughter. They had her for breakfast in Cefalù. His own daughter. And like I say, you know, there's no information about his first daughter with Rose. You know, like I say, all they say, you know, like, oh, she died in China. She caught some plague or something. I don't know, you can hear it. It's like, I feel like in a war zone, so many helicopters. I so wish that this shit is picking that shit up. Unbelievable. This is gonna be 4 years of this bullshit. When did we vote for this? I don't know. Just unleashing helicopters.
Living next to the Woodbridge Army Research and Development Laboratories. Yes, Emmylou Harris, there she is with a big guitar. It says Harris is from a career military family. Her father, Walter Rutland Harris, was a Marine Corps officer, and her mother, Eugenia, was a wartime military wife. Her father was reported missing in action in Korea in 1952 and spent 10 months as a prisoner of war. Born in Birmingham, Alabama, Harris spent her childhood in North Carolina and Woodbridge. So in Woodbridge was the Army Research and Development Laboratories. Singer John Denver, real name Henry John Deutschendorf, which is a German name. Deutsch, it means German, and Dorf, it means a village, a German village. So John Denver, his father, was a career U.S. Air Force officer at the famous Roswell Air Base. We all know about the aliens at Roswell. John Denver, there he is. And it's the early life. Henry John Deutschendorf Jr. was born on December 31, 1943 in Roswell, New Mexico, to Captain Henry John Deutschendorf, a United States Army Air Force pilot. So he must have been an officer. You're not a pilot if you're not an officer. At Roswell Army Airfield, and his wife Emma Louise née Swope. And he spent his youth in a lot of Air Force bases like this one.
And he was another
one. They all
one.
look like little toys, all the airplanes.
He was supposed to be a peacemonger.
Maxwell Air
supposed to be
Force
all
Base.
about, you know.
The cars Carswell Air Force Base
hillbilly
in Fort
trailer.
Worth. And so, you know, enough time and
Nobody
place, you know,
suspected that.
to get
Nobody
discovered by the
Not in Latin America.
by the headset for their 60 Music project. The town of Denver in Colorado was settled by Swiss immigrants. Denver, as in John Denver.
Oh.
And here are some more. You can see some more towns here
They look for the weather.
that are even Lucerne Valley.
That's why they
These
stay here
are
in the States.
Swiss
because
Americans by
nasty
percentage of the
weather.
total population.
I'm fed up with this shit.
Like in New Bern, 30% here. 30% of the population are Swiss. And this one here. Swiss Americans by numbers. There are 8,000 in New York. And 117,000 in California. I'll show you the bigger picture in a minute. So this is the Swiss Americans website from Wikipedia. And you see there are 1 million Swiss Americans in the US. That's 0.28% of the US population. But they all go for all the key positions. So this is interesting. Here's the history about it. You know, the Theobald von Erlach, you know, it's the nobility from Bern. They probably didn't like it very much, and I was in Bern when I started talking about that, right? And there's also von Grafenried. Well, they're not even in it. They should be. And yeah, in California there are 117,000 Swiss Americans, Pennsylvania 73,000. I guess there are more Swiss Americans or Swiss in the United States than there are jaywalkers. And I've shown you, they have taken over far many more key positions than the jaywalkers did. I don't know of any jaywalker president, but I already mentioned 3 or 4 of them who are Swiss. So, facts people, facts. Community settled by Swiss immigrants. There's a lot of Berns in Bernville. Swiss American historical societies. And of course the Mennonites, notable people. So for a more comprehensive, let's see list of Swiss Americans. Okay, well, let's have a look. List of Swiss Americans. And
Well, I think that's enough for today.
there's a lot of actors. Oh, Robert Downey Jr., mothers of Swiss descent. James Caviezel also, paternal grandfather. Even Jeff Bridges. Wow. Yul Brynner, well I knew that. Well, his name is Swiss, you know, Brunner. And Meryl Streep, of course. Renée Zellweger, which is a Swiss name. Writers, musicians. Leon Botstein, so there's a Steinzy, who is Swiss. The governors and presidents, Herbert Hoover, Eisenhower, Obama. Already got 3 who are Swiss, eh? I don't know any jaywalker presidents in the US, I don't know. I don't think there were any. So Herbert Hoover here, Swiss. His real name, Huber. J. Edgar Hoover, Swiss. Yeah.
And you can tell his lecture is all.
And Henry Wirtz, yeah,
So
a
like
Confederate soldier executed for war crimes.
Like from 21.
A prominent Henri Bouguet, a prominent army officer in the French and Indian War in the Pontiac War. Of course, religion, scientists. Albert Einstein, well, not really Swiss, he was born in Germany. He just lived in Switzerland. Rickenbacker, the guitar. And of course, Chevrolet.
It's a network.
Let's see what's Swiss.
It's a network, you know.
I don't see it. No Chevrolet.
They are like Swiss via Germany, via, you know, even Latin America. I can guarantee you, if he ever do a video on that, he will find, you know, Swiss loyalties.
Republican organization, but it got all taken over by the nobility. And of course, it's all related to the Knights Templars, because the Young Turks, they wanted the horizontal rule, and the Templars, they are behind it. But it got all taken over by the vertical rule nobility.
Okay,
and of course,
let me tell you about that nobility. It is the same as, you know, over here. you know, having these Europeans come here, torture, you know, extermination and whatever, and even when they say, you know, oh, you know, all American girl, they put a picture of Becky. It is the same thing. So I mean, he needs to rectify that. That's not nobility. That is like the same thing, you know, like in China they use, I heard they used to call them the name stealers. They used to, you know, lure them to their house or whatever, and invitation, and yeah, you can stay here, whatever, and then they end up killing them, and they will take their name and they will take everything, and that's who they was. That's their modus operandi throughout the whole planet. So when he keeps saying nobility, nobility, like, come on. And he's, you see how even he's a good white, but he's still propagating this bullshit nobility. No, I'm telling you, these are devil. This is the devil. That's what they do. That's what they've been doing for a long time. Whether you want to call it mafia or royalty or Kaisers or whatever, you know, it is the same people. It's not a people, it's a virus. It's a damn virus. And if we was to understand that, you know, then we can act accordingly.
And of course in Turkey it's the same thing. You know, they also have the nobility, just like in any other country. So this Ahmet Ertegun of Atlantic Records, he's nobility, and that's why he can adjust so easily, you know, in Western society. You know, as for a normal Turk that wouldn't be so easy. You know, he would want his family, he would want his religion and his origins, his traditions, and for the nobility, as he can mingle with the European nobility without any problem.
I say the
for
world
Ahmet
is
Ertegun
their
of
oyster.
Atlantic Records, there was no problem at all. They even called him the last sultan, you know. So here it says he created the Atlantic Records label in 1947. So.
And you can see it. It reminds me of that picture of Hiroshima and Nagasaki, you know, that you got them actually with a cake, yeah, and on top it got, you know, the whatever you call it in the shape of the atomic bomb, and they are celebrating, slicing a piece of the cake, and you know. I mean you cannot make this shit up, for real. What is that, a plane? Yeah, it's one of them toys.
So here he is, Ahmet Ertegun. Oh, he doesn't look Turkish at all, you know. He's got the same skull form like Macron, French president. Very big here on top, and getting quite narrow at the bottom. I've never seen a Turk, and there are quite a lot of Turks here in Europe. I've never seen a Turk like this. Not only his face, but what he radiates, you know, it's nobility.
You say he never seen him twerk like this? Twerk? No, Turk.
Turkish nobility. Last
You gotta...
sultan. There he is, Ahmet Ertegun, or Ahmet Ertegun. Ertegun was the co-founder and president of Atlantic Records. Here you go. There he is, picture of him. There he is again. This is probably his father. He was a diplomat in Washington, D.C.
They're Turkish too.
So, nobility.
The other day was cloudy. Even yesterday was cloudy, but then I forgot the damn tablet. Today I forgot the cell phone. I had to go back to the cell phone because I'm like, I gotta play the recording.
Atlantic Records. There he is again. There's one here. So,
even when I didn't have a language, I always knew anybody who was
and here,
famous.
this is what he said. Another guy, a musician, Serge Tankian, that's a Armenian name, has claimed that Skeptical...
Especially for a long time. Especially for a long time. It's because they're puppets. They're puppets. There's nobody. I don't care whatever you call it, you know, American Idol, beauty pageant. You must, you know, do like Aleister Crowley. Imagine Aleister Crowley doggy style, you know, in the middle of the desert. You're taking dick from behind in the name of magic, in the name of white magic, white boy magic.
In the example of Saul listed above, David acknowledges that Saul has leadership over him, like Don Corleone, even though he had the chance to end Saul's life. He didn't take it because he realized God placed Saul as a ruler in his life for a reason. So this word here,
I'm gonna leave it at that for today. I gotta listen more. We still have 4 hours left of the lecture. I mean, and you know, I don't want you to think this is an expose. You know, this is like, no, they're just informing us. They're just informing us. Come on. I have gotten so many videos, so many channels stolen. So I got a question, you know, how come these people they still got their channels? This is all taken in from YouTube. This is where it's coming from. So how come they are they're still here? There's another lecture on Hollywood and Diana's mirror, how it was recreated in California, and they had all the videos from you know, Italy. You know, there's a Hollywood, and it's also Hollywood Hills, just the same way, except that, you know, they have the Diana's mirror, and it's the Hollywood of Diana, the goddess of the moon. Yeah. Needed like babies. You know, the worship of that devil require, you know, I have no idea whose phone is that. So before I go, I'm just gonna show you a little bit of the audio. About one of the we're gonna learn a little bit more how this shit was operating in the church of Aleister Crowley.
That we are actually, I now know of 5 national support groups that are helping people that are survivors of Masonic ritual abuse. This is that serious a problem. And let me tell you something else. The other 95, 96, 97 Masons have an even bigger problem. Because the spiritual headship over their organization trickles back down to this monster. And because of that, even if they're good men, even if they don't know about this, you know what happens? They begin to struggle with profound temptations to move in this area of pedophilia and homosexuality. And this is dangerous stuff. I mean, this is spreading throughout the world like a plague. We have organizations like NAMBLA, the National Association of Man-Boy Love, which their slogan is sex before 8 or it's too late. And they're trying to lower the age of consent to 8 years old. And all of this can be laid at the door of this occult monstrosity. If you're a Mason and you're in an organization with this kind of spiritual headship, This is all around you and you don't even know it. It's like a fish swimming in polluted water that's full of spiritual sewage. And you can't help but take this into yourself. But it's important to understand that in all of this, that I myself, as a normal, red-blooded heterosexual, was finding myself continually drawn into sexual thoughts and sexual fantasies about little boys. I thank God I never acted on any of that. But it was being forced on me because I was under the umbrella of the Masonic leadership. And it is really a very tragic thing, but it is very real, this kind of headship. He had so many Masonic degrees that you could fill up 5 pages of a book with them. This guy was probably the most highly honored Mason in the world. And he was also the most dangerous man of the 20th century. And he began doing rituals to bring forth this crowned and conquering child. And he began to start what he called the cult of the fascinating child. And in doing this, he uncovered, without knowing it, the royal secret of Masonry. And what happened was, a gentleman came knocking at his door after he published a book. And in this book, it was a book of poetry, and in the book he had made an allusion to something. And this guy, his name was Theodore Royce. And this Theodore Royce told Crowley that he had given away the greatest secret in occult history. And Crowley said, "What do you mean? I don't even understand it." So the guy promptly initiated him on the spot to the 9th degree of the OTO and then explained the secret to him. The secret is that as a Mason, you are promised immortality. If you go to a Masonic funeral, you will hear them discuss the immortality issue. You will hear them promise that they will go to the celestial lodge above.
Like Christianism?
And live there forever.
Like
where do
Islam?
they get their promise of immortality? Simply, the secret that Crowley uncovered, probably through demonic intervention, is the secret that this immortality is conveyed through tantric sex magic. And the kind of sex magic that we're talking about here, unfortunately, is a sexual violation of a little child. Crowley taught that the way you could live forever was by vampirizing little children sexually. And he personally bragged of having slaughtered 150 male children in 1 year. This is why he was called the wickedest man in the world. And this, I apologize that this is so horrible, but Masons are doing this.
And they let him live, you know. We've seen, I mean, like, I'm glad that I found this lecture. I really...
That's irrelevant. It could be back...
I'm really glad that I found this lecture because it really connects a lot of the dots. Like I say, it's in my Rumble channel. And it's, well, anyway. But, I mean, anything you can look up on the Octagon, you know, that's how you're going to become accustomed. Familiar. You're gonna become familiar, and don't let them say, you know, that Crowley, you know, was unique. Just study, you know. I got here to the United States in 1989. You know, somehow I ended up in the street, and then I ended up going to gay bars. Later on, I found out one of these clubs I was in, it was called Carol's Speakeasy. I found out that Jeffrey Dahmer was there like 2 months ago. I was like, that shit gave me chills. It's like, wow, it's like, that's where he used to look for African Americans and, you know, eat him up. Oh my God, I can't believe it, like I just said that. Remember that the New York Times, what was it, like 5 years ago, they had this whole spread article on, you know, cannibalism, that it's not bad. It's and this is what we gotta reject, like they say, vehemently. I don't know if I'm saying it, vehemently. I don't even know how to spell that shit, but we have to, no. These are not exceptions that confirm the rule. No. There's like Jeffrey Dahmers galore everywhere, and they are protected. And especially nowadays, you have you don't only have Federal Express. They have their own packaging. They own like one time, you know, I heard about. I met this guy who he worked as a messenger all over the world, and he get paid very well, and he travel, you know, everywhere. What was he delivering? I was like, what was he delivering? Who was paying his salary, his plane tickets, everything, passports, everything, to go all over the world? And like, he told me, yeah, all I gotta do is just deliver these packages. What are these packages? Human flesh? I mean, like, for real. I mean, like, and children need to know this. Children need to know that we are conquered people. They need to know this is not our names, this is not our language, you know, and we gotta go back, you know, Sankofa. We gotta go back and get it, and reverse the Ma'afa. In Africa, they knew it was the Ma'afa, and they knew it was going to be the rise of the Neanderthals, psychopaths. And a lot of scholars that, you know, they believe that they did in Africa, they hid a lot. Can you imagine if they had not hidden a lot? I mean, who's to say that they knew what was coming, because time is a construct. They knew what was coming, and that's why they sunk the Atlantis, in order to keep it away from this albinoid mutation, this abomination, genetic abomination. That's what it is. If they didn't have their weapons, if they didn't have their dollars, you know, that they got now, there would be nothing. And I always come back that, you know, to Adam and Eve. You know why? I think that's the most famous passage from that book. Why? Is it because they're trying to tell us something? You know, like, hey, there was one day they discovered it was hideous, pasty. And then that's when they started hoarding gold, they started hoarding money, real estate, you know. They are power hoarders, because they know without that, they ain't shit. And that's why they like I always say, they're escalating tremendously. They're escalating fast. They want transhumanism now. They're gonna experiment on us before they get it themselves. Because that's the only way they can be like us. Especially they can be like our African brothers and sisters, the original men and women. That's what it's all about. That's what it's all about. They know. That's why they had to sow evil. They had to disqualify them, ridicule them, you know, call them monkeys, and all kinds of things, so they can thrive. Because like there's nothing there. They're savages. They're cannibals. They are you know, despicable people. And there's still people in the world that believe that. They believe that. You go to social media in some countries and they have these memes, you know, they're cooking a Neanderthal. Who the hell, first of all, who the hell will eat that filth? They're not even good for that. And that's honest reality. This is not me being like whatever, controversial, whatever. Yes, I'm a disciple, but I don't have him today. Malcolm X. Yeah, I don't have him. I didn't put him on today. I'm a humble disciple of the great master teacher, Malcolm X. Most importantly, you know, well, anyway, I mean, that's all I need to say. This is why I am compelled to put it out there, you know, because you never know. You never know. It might make somebody curious. It might make somebody like saying, okay, you know, let me, I'm gonna shut this bitch up with facts. And I want them to do that. I've been asking them to do that for the longest time. You know, I gotta stand up because these chairs, they have this little thing over here, they're cutting the circulation. They make it on purpose, I guess, I don't know. Well, anyway, and not just, you know, flag shit, not just, you know, leave nasty comments and threats and whatnot. Show me the receipts. Show me that, you know, I mean, now that they're talking and saying that, oh, you know, whoever did all these holocausts, all these genocides and plunderings, and it was the Moors. It was the Moors, you know, so it wasn't even there. You know, you have all these truthers, you know, saying that Phoenicia was first. You know, the Phoenicians was first, and then it came Africa, that they are the ones who civilized the planet. No, they were spies. They had the privilege as merchants to go in and out of Africa to export, you know, the African goods, and that's how they learned about it. They learned about it. The greed, you know, just came about it because they started seeing, you know, amazing things, you know, like, and every time there was asking, where you got it from? Africa. Oh my God, where'd you get this from? Africa. It's like, so even before they set up foot in Africa, you know, white devils like Cecil Rhodes, you know, I mean, just imagine that son of a bitch. He was able, you know, the queen, first of all, he allowed him to use the royal stamp. So he had carte blanche to do whatever. But he managed to set up a whole train line from the south to the north. You know, and everything was going in there. Gold, silver, whatever, you know, any precious metals, you know, live goods, everything. And he was able, because he had the stamp of the queen, he was able to set up institutions. I mean, and everything, you know, oh my God, everything is legit. Look at this. It got the royal seal, and they got all these institutions they create. It's like the moment they learn to write, and when they realize, you know, they can weaponize all the writings, you know, they can weaponize the history, they can weaponize the institutions like the Vatican, and it's legit. It's legit. Like even like what they call South Africa. shit. I mean, like, you know, in Africa, whites own 95% of the land. Just think about that. I mean, like, anywhere else, okay, maybe you can try to insert yourself, and you know, but and they call themselves, like, you know, like Elon Musk, whatever, you know, they call themselves even more African than the Africans. And nobody would stop on that. As a matter of fact, you know, if I was to go out with a microphone, a camera, and be like, you know, what do you think about, you know, the situation in South Africa with the Neanderthals, you know, being more and more despondent, they will say, oh my God, you know, they are under siege, whatever, you know. They was calling Trump, you know, they was calling, like, you know, I mean, the whole European Union, because they said, you know, some of these, you know, landlords, they didn't feel safe. Why should they feel safe? You know, I mean, it's like, I mean, the same thing, you know, I mean, like, okay, I know it's all backwards, you know, but let's say that we're gonna go by their narrative, right? And talk about Bin Laden. Imagine Bin Laden release an interview where he say, I don't feel safe, and we all go, oh, Bin Laden, oh, poor thing, you know. We start petitions, we start, you know, a whole international media campaign saying that, you know, poor Bin Laden, you know, or the Bocos, ISIS, whatever, you know, they are definitely, that's exactly what it is. Except, you know, they are, you know, they are puppets. They were our puppets, you know, like Bin Laden and everything else, like in Mexico. You know, we did not have cartels. We didn't even know what that shit was. It was the United Slave government that gave them millions of dollars, weapons, and even helped them pick the names. So, I don't know. I mean, I do thank people, whoever is sharing the other video. We got 300 views. I mean, I know I'm not, you know, I don't know. What is the opposite of having a face for radio? Yeah, I don't know. But part of the whole thing is just stop being afraid and calling a spade a spade. You know, we gotta call the Neanderthals, because that's who they are. How else would you explain, you know, all this bullshit? I mean, anybody can even come up, not even themselves they have come out with, you know. The truth is that, you know, you cannot sugarcoat shit. And that's what we're trying to do. That's what we're trying to do, especially with Aleister Crowley, with Roman Polanski. I mean, and it's everything. Everything is backwards. Absolutely everything. So it is it's a matter of you know, us being I don't know, we gotta snap out of that spell.
Connected.
Because I really believe that, like, more people become aware, you know, who the enemy is. If everybody become aware, oh shit, whites are not like they are in the movies, in the television, or even like the commercials. And that is when the, you know, whatever they call it, I think cognitive dissonance. I encounter a lot of people, you know, I see that it just, they have like a short circuit. They short circuit. And because it's like, no, you're lying. Or even if they don't say I'm lying, they just, you know, we are so fucked up in the mind that this is what I notice. That I see people, they don't know how to approach it. They don't know how to file it. You know, how do I file this? Is this entertainment? Is this education? Is this edutainment? Because they even came out with another genre, edutainment, and people, they just freeze and they go like, oh, it's conspiracy, it's the theory of conspiracy, whatever they call it, you know. It is like, and that's it. I have seen people, you know, I can tell them, you know, like, hey, you know, this is what happened to your family. You know, such and such came and, you know, drug them and whatever, rape them, torture them, everything. And I go, oh, okay, whatever, they go. Because my theory is that the mind, our brain, have been so devastated, by, you know, all these years of television, all this propaganda. I feel like at this point the mind, they don't know, it's like, oh, this is a show. This is a show. This is a whatever, like what they call it, a sitcom, or this is just like I don't know, like the documentary. You know, there are documentaries that, you know, should, you know, I mean, if we was normal, if we was healthy minded, after watching certain documentaries, we would have started riots. We would have started, you know, revolutions. They are disclosing everything to us just to let us know what the law of the land is, you know. This is what they're telling you. Hey, this is what's happening. And everybody seemed to be perfectly okay. Whether some of them, they think like, oh, you know, I'm gonna be okay because whatever. I don't know. Sometimes, you know, it's out there. It is out there. You know, like you see a lot of, if you go to rumble.com, you see a lot of these documentaries. They have one on like a 5 hours or something, a real documentary of, you know, I'm talking about this shit just happened in the 80s and the 90s, you know, and even went to the Supreme Court. So it was very public, you know, and I heard about it, but, you know, for me, it was like, okay, like, it was like Geraldo Rivera, you know. One day he had club kids, and the other day he had like real serious things. So for me, I was like, okay, so I cannot take somebody serious. That was my, and I dismiss it. If you watch this documentary, I mean, I don't know, I just don't think our reactions are normal. And I know, like they say, there's levels there's levels of awareness. It's like an onion, right? It starts sinking in, but we don't have time. We don't have time. You know, if anybody would have told me that, you know, the entire planet was going to be quiet and was going to agree to be sprayed on like roaches, fumigated like a roach all over the planet, I go like, damn, it's like there's not a single government that have said stop that shit in my airspace. I see some countries, they don't even see that as their own territory. You know, I mean, they see it for certain things, but then they allow, you know, bullshit like this. Why is it that there's not a single government denouncing the chemtrails? And why there's not a single one that has say, stop it, or else I'm gonna get laser beams and I'm gonna knock them down? Where's the youth? Where's the revolutionary youth? We come from the Black Panthers to mummies, I mean, like corpses, don't do shit. You know, and that's how you learn that everything, as I just repeated that audio, it was all strategic, designed to disclose in a manner that will not make nobody, you know, activate themselves, you know, in a way that, you know, oh, there's nothing I can do. Or, you know, a lot of times I notice, you know, in retrospective, because I have watched all this shit and like, damn, I know this, and why I haven't done nothing about it. And it's, I came to the conclusion that every documentary was like, oh my God, we're so much better now. You see, we are telling you what we did 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And it was horrible. But then again, you see so many documentaries. You see so much bullshit. And they're all the same thing. They have the same like underlying message. It's like, oh my God, you know, those was really, really awful times. But guess what? We're still in those awful times, except that they are even way more awful. And why they're way more awful? Because, you know, I mean, it's like they are disclosing now as it's happening. You know, like you see, what's her name, Abramovich, cooking spirits. You see all kinds of cartoons, animes, and they're all gay, and they're all transgender or whatever. You know, chicks with dicks. I'm transsexual. I am transsexual. I'm a sex change. You know, and I have to suffer from you know, from some gay guys, whatever, transgenders. I gotta suffer that. They think I'm just like that. No, I'm not like that at all, at all. Because what? I always been congruent. And if I recognize, what was that? I heard like a speaker. I have always recognized, you know, the divine feminine. And I try every day to live by, you know, that manifestation in my life, in my body. I don't expect nobody to believe me, because this shit is so crazy. But the gays, they just turn around and made it into a big joke. There's nothing I can do. You see how easy they destroy you? They come out with this term, transgender. Anything goes. without any proof. I asked her many times, can you show me the studies? You know, how you come out with this spectrum? They say, oh, no, gender is a spectrum. You know, you can be a little bit female, you can be a little bit masculine, you know, you can be a little bit, you know, nothing. And they come out as like, oh no, you know, I don't have a gender. And like, okay, so I mean, and they're egging them on. They keep egging them on, and like, you are fabulous, you're great. They put them in public office. They parade them like monkeys and whatever, and they tell them they're great, they're fantastic. Same thing they're doing to African American women. They're out of control. They're like every day. I don't even follow nobody. I follow Africans, no African Americans, because I really feel the great majority African Americans, they've been destroyed. I consider myself quote-unquote survivor of war, a veteran of war, just living in New York City, I mean the United States. I'm afraid, you know, one day returning home, because what am I going to bring? You know, I think myself, should I be quarantined when I go back, if I ever go back? What am I going to bring? I mean, ideas that they are not good. You know, because I have nothing to bring to my country one day if I ever go back. Because we see every day our indigenous nations have survived 500 years, you know, of glorious resistance, going every day through all kinds of warfares. This is how they create the migrant crisis. You know, constantly creating conflicts between families, between nations, indigenous nations. And then they're arming one side, or sometimes they arm both sides, you know, to eradicate. And they're so stupid that they don't know at the end, both of those indigenous nations are going to go at the end of the day. You know, I was watching a documentary. I actually put it on my I found this channel. It was abandoned on YouTube, like so many. Like, but it got a good one, because it proved about Rwanda, how they have the technology to alter the mind. You know, and together now we know that they have the radio stations egging them on, you know, the Tutsis and whatever, and then they release this let me see if I can tell you the name of the video. Yeah, I mean, like if you go and scroll down, you're gonna find it. Anyway, yeah, that's another one. I can play it. I can play it while they're, you know. But they're always making me see, like, you know, oh, you're a racist. You don't like whites. What is to like? Tell me, what should I like about you? Instead of, you know, like bashing and trying to play victim, why don't you tell me what are your qualities? Huh? And you guys go all over the planet and create this contest. Unfortunately, there's a lot of youth that are stupid, and they enter this contest, and some of them, they are even genius and whatever. They take their project, their technology, whatever, their invention. They're taking inventions, they're taking everything. How many times have we heard, you know, like, oh, you know, in this country, actually, I even heard, I don't know if it's true, I think it was upstate, one of the mass shootings, it was in a supermarket. You know, coincidentally, there was an inventor. I think he had invented an engine that ran on water. You know, he had invented the engine that only needed water to run. And he was amongst the victims. There's a lot of coincidences. A lot of coincidences. How many times we have seen interviews and stuff, you know, yeah, he got a cure for cancer. And we never hear ever again. They say there's 3 major coping things, you know, fight or flight or play dead. You want to play dead? Guess what? Pretty soon you won't have to play because you're going to be dead. You won't have to pretend you're dead. You don't have to pretend, you know, oh my God, I don't want to disturb the slave master. Please, please don't make my slave master mad. You know, you're talking shit. You know, the slave master don't like it when you talk like that. I don't care. We all going down, even whites. Even whites. You know, we see that. You know, East Palestine. We see, like, you know, I mean, so many others. You know, we only know East Palestine, but they don't mind. They don't mind, you know, because they think, you know, white privilege trumps everything. You know, they think like, well, as long as I continue having my white privilege, because shit, I'm not gonna work. You know, they put up with this shit. So when he talk about, you know, Sicily and all the disappearances, he talk about, you know, the atrocities, you know, every year so many babies gone missing. They don't care. I mean, like, they're telling you right there, Aleister Crowley ate his own children. They tell you the names, they tell you where it happened, how they did it. You know, I don't know if he was exaggerating when he said in 1 year he ate 150 babies. I hope he was exaggerating, but, you know, it don't really matter how many they are. You know, what matters is just kind of like, what is the message? What is the message? Be scared of me. Be terrified of me. You know, they get so offended when I call him the blue-eyed devil. And then they go and they make these documentaries, you know, glamorizing Aleister Crowley and making him, you know, the 007. He was the original 007. And people still watching those movies, they think it's like, oh, he was so cool. He was a special agent and he would go all over the world. He got keys for every door. He had passports, you know, everything. And that's what I want to be. Yes, you know, the superhero. I don't know. I feel like saying wake up is such a cliche. Even that. Everything, they take it and they make it into a joke. You see all these psychopaths is like, oh, you know, if you go woke, you go broke. Because to them, that's everything. You know, material shit is everything. Money, power. That's what they're all about, because they don't have a functioning pineal gland. And I have posted also on my channel about the pineal gland, where they admitted to. There's nothing more important than melanin. That is the human chlorophyll. So you can get an idea just how important it is. And if you don't have it, you know, you're a perfect candidate to become a psychopath.